Welcome to Solutions with Courtney Anderson. I'm Courtney Anderson, and this is episode 228. Episode 228. And this is a show that's part of our Myth Warriors series. In our Myth Warriors series, what we are doing is taking concepts and we are attacking them on offense. We are prodding and probing and striking at them. And we also have donned our defensive gear to protect ourselves. And what are we doing? Well, we're out there trying to figure out, hey, is this something that might be accurate and I can use it in my life to help make decisions that are going to move me towards surpassing my goals? Or is this something I can discard? Is this something that is not accurate? It's not true. It might even be a lie. And that way I'm not making decisions based on bad information, right? The idea of garbage in, garbage out, right? If I get bad information, I'm going to obviously make bad choices because my information was incorrect, right? So that's what we're doing in the series, and this show is one that I looked at the show lineup and I thought, how has this not been done already? And I've said in some shows recently, it's so exciting that we're on 228 episodes of this version of the show, right? Our audio podcast / talk show, and then we've got our video companion show, and I'm just getting started, and there's so much stuff that we have not done. I mean, I can't honestly. I sit and I think to myself, on show 2228, I'll probably still think, how have we not done this? There's so much more ahead of us. There's so much more to do. It's so awesome. It's part of the adventure of life. So what is the show topic today that has me all excited and reflective on how exciting and wonderful it is to do these shows? Our show topic today is, if it seems too good to be true, it probably is. If it seems too good to be true, it probably is. Again, like I said, it's one of those topics I thought, how have we not addressed this? This is something people say I've heard in one form or the other all over the world. It seems too good to be true. It probably is. Let's dive in. On our show site, and of course, CourtneyAnderson.com is our main central site. And when you go there, it's a library of content. So we have hundreds and hundreds of pages, somewhere around 700 URL pages of content. So there's a microsite for this episode 228, which you can just come to, and read just about this show. But you can also, while you're on our site, browse around, look at all the other different types of areas we have. It's something I hope you bookmark and come back to over time, because it's intended to be an overwhelming experience for a first-time visitor, because there's so much content. But it's because this is not a one-time event. Hopefully we'll continue to work together and be in a partnership, working to collaborate so that you are surpassing your goals. And that's why there's a wealth of content, and there's new content added with quite frequency, usually at least daily. More programs, more shows, and then we're launching and rolling out with webinars and workshops and a whole bunch of other new things, ebooks. So bookmark it and come back, and hopefully we'll continue to partner. And when you are on our show site for this show, for episode 228, you'll see my Stone of Solutions, which for the time being seems to me just such a effective way, right? I come up with a stone is a unit of measurement. It's 14 pounds, the U.S. Version of weight, especially when you're talking about the weight of a person, right? And so I have a Stone of Solutions, which will be 14 points. And one of them for this topic is that this is actually a tougher topic than you may think. Because, I have proudly and openly identified myself as a pragmatist. Partially because my brain functions that way. I like logic. I like things that support each other. I like credible sources. And as a pragmatist, this concept, at least on the first glance, when I was working through preparing the show content, I thought, well, this looks like it's something a pragmatist would concur. It looks like this is something a pragmatist would say, yep, that's pretty true. Looks too good to be, it seems too good to be true. Probably is. That seems reasonable, right? That seems like something that I would say, not a myth, right? Accurate. I'm going to go ahead now and share with you that that's not my assessment. My assessment that this is a myth. It's not true. I'm going to give you an anecdote about part of the reason why and why I say it's tougher to look at this concept than you may think. So this is years ago. So years ago, and when I say years, it's all relative, right? So I remember when I was, 25, and I was teaching university students, and I would talk about years ago. And at that time, I remember thinking, wow, I can't believe how long ago I was, an undergrad. It's been years because I'm like 25. And I feel sort of the same way today, right? I understand time has passed and I'm not 25, but I look in my mirror when I brush my teeth, and in general, on most of my days, on especially a good day, I try to take care of myself and focus on my health and nutrition and my emotional and mental health and low stress and hydration. And so most of the time when I look in the mirror, and this may be my own delusion, I think I look good. And that I look pretty much the same as I've looked most of the time. I don't look in the mirror and say, oh my gosh, I remember when I was younger, I was so wonderful to look at when I brushed my teeth, and now I'm just old. I don't do that. Now, again, you may look at me and say in your mind, oh, that poor lady, she is really, really delusional. It's good she mentioned it because I don't want to say anything to her, but she's old and she looks it. And if she doesn't see it, well, So again, who do I hurt with this, right? So my point simply is that it's all relative. So when I talk about years ago or things like that, sometimes people have said to me, people who are older than me, they'll say, well, I don't know why you say things like that. I mean, how old are you? You can't be that old. But my response is it's always relative. It's just like when you were, growing up and in high school, those teenage years in the U.S., you typically have 3 years or 4 years, depending on the way they do it. But, sort of like a freshman year, second year, third year, and then like a senior year. And even though it's nothing in the scheme of your whole life, 4 years or 3 years is not really much, right? How much do you change? Now, obviously, when you're a young child going through human development, there are huge changes that happen in those teen years, just to our bodies, right, as we mature. But at the time, if you talk to somebody who's a, senior in high school about when they were a freshman, they'll talk about it like it was, to them a lifetime ago. Oh, when I was a freshman, oh, I did this and that. And you'll also hear that somewhat with university undergrad students who are traditional age, teenagers, they come either immediately out of high school, or they come in some parts of the world, they have a gap year for fortunate students where they'll take some time to sort of explore life, and then they'll move into university. They're still really young though, right? 17, 18, 19, somewhere 20 in that range. They'll use the same terms in the States in college, freshman year, sophomore, junior, senior. And people will talk like they've done some huge thing and it's only been a few years. And you think, well, come on, really? But in the structure of that, it makes sense. And we don't ever really make fun of people, because we know if we came through a system like that, when you were a first year versus your third year, it was a big deal. And so what my point is that these things may seem different than they may first appear. So when people kind of sometimes say to me, oh, you talk about these things like so long ago, it couldn't have been that long ago. Look, it's all relative, A. And B, actually most people don't know how old any of us are. And because we're just relating as equals, obviously, all the time in our professional activities. And so sometimes people say, oh, I didn't really know you were that. Oh, okay. Maybe you did mean a while ago. But it's all relative, right? So somebody who's, again, when I was 25, I meant the same thing I mean today. And if I was fortunate to live longer and I use these phrases, I would mean the same thing. I just mean that it was in the past. And it feels like it was a while ago. That's all relative based on how old we are and our life experience. Just like I wouldn't you know, chastise a senior in high school or senior in college, referring back to when they were freshmen and how much they've grown, and be dismissive and say it's only been like 3 or 4 years, it's not much. Well, duh. But in that setting, it is a big deal, and I know that, and everybody else does. So I wanted to address that because it does tie to the issue of if it seems too good to be true, it probably is. And my argument that this is a tougher idea than you may originally think, or it's more layered, right? So again, as a pragmatist, my initial reaction would be, oh, this seems accurate. I've already told you, spoiler, my conclusion in this show is that this is actually a myth. It's actually not true. I'm saying that if it seems too good to be true, it probably is. That's not accurate. And here's the anecdote. So, while ago, for all of my explanation of what I meant by that, I was talking to somebody who was an adult and had a child that was finishing up high school, getting ready to go to potentially to college, right? So what we were just talking about in terms of ages and frame of reference. And so the adult was someone who themselves had not gone to college or university, and was sharing with me how proud they were. I mean, like really, really proud of how well their child had done. I believe it was their daughter had done academically, and they were just really excited, and this was really great. And I was like, great. Nothing makes me happier than good news, right? And so they were talking, and the person said something along the lines of they said something like this. They said, yeah, my daughter, she's really smart. She gets great grades. And she said she wanted to go to, the person said either Stanford University or Harvard University, some, school that's well known around the world for being a leading institution of higher ed. Okay, so let's say they said Stanford. Okay, so the person says, so this is an adult, says my child, is in high school and is a really, really talented student, does very well, and my daughter says that she wants to go to Stanford or Harvard, but let's just say Stanford. Okay, so I'm thinking this is even better news, right? Your daughter's done well in school thus far, is on track to graduate from high school, which is really important for the rest of her opportunities in life, and also just for her knowledge base, right? And then she's even on her own decided that she has specific schools she's interested in, and she's aiming, for the top tier in terms of reputation and a lot of metrics that are measurements of school, especially for a bachelor traditional campus program. That's fantastic, right? Okay. And then the mother said something like, this just broke my heart. She said something like, I told her not to apply because we can't afford it. And I didn't want her to get her hopes up. A very loving parent, obviously, right? Had a relationship with her child, proud of her, told her child not to apply for one of the best schools in the world. That potentially, I didn't know. I mean, this was her telling me about her daughter. So I don't know her daughter. I never saw her daughter's grades. I mean, I don't know what classes she took, like all the details, right? But gee. So I said very quickly, I said something along the lines of, these, schools really want, really talented students. And if someone doesn't have the money, then they have packages where they'll take care of that. Like they'll have, they have grants, and they also have other institutional programs. There's never going to be a school that a child gets into academically, right? That they're admitted, and they're not going to be able to go because they don't have the money. And in fact, in a perverse way, this is in the U.S. obviously, because in many parts of the world you don't pay out of pocket for like tuition to go to higher ed. It's just part of the society. But in the U.S., you can go through high school, which is part of society, with a free education. But then beyond that, you have to either pay or have there are some grants, which is where you get money given to you to go, which is an option. And there's some that are based on some are based on your talent individually. If you're an athlete or a dancer or a trombone player, some are based on your academic talent. Some academic scores and accomplishments. Some are private foundations, so the private citizens and private organizations give money for people to go to school. And then there are also programs for people based on your family's socioeconomic and your individual socioeconomic background. And perversely in the U.S., this is a whole nother issue, but I have to mention it, that because it ties to the anecdote, that if you have the less money you have, then the more options are available to you. Because if you can go and there's a whole bunch of paperwork you have to fill out and show you don't have any money, like, I don't have money, my parents don't have any money, nobody in my family has any money, we don't have any houses or land or, artwork that we can sell, we have no assets and no money, then perversely, then you have more opportunity than for programs because you have so little economic resources. What tends to happen in the U.S., I have to just mention this as an aside, is that people who aren't in that situation, they do have some money, right? So they work and everything, but they don't have, so they're just, sort of middle class, average people, but so they're doing all right, they're doing well, but they don't have like an extra $40,000 a year to just write a check to some school and tuition. And the more money you make, then the lower the amount of options you have, because this is my own, and I'm way oversimplifying this. The idea, I guess, is that you have some resources you can contribute. And in fact, in the paperwork you fill out for borrowing money to go to college, that's what they talk about, your contribution, your individual contribution and your family contribution. They have all these, there's a whole bunch of science and policy and practice and politics behind how all this is done. I have nothing to do with any of that other than I've been a student, and of course I've been a professor for many, many years. But it puts people who make more money in a tough position because there's less sort of free opportunity to go, and then there's this idea that often is unrealistic, that they can just come up with massive amounts of money to just pay for college. And so then that puts people in a situation you have to borrow the money, which is a whole nother very, very, very serious issue. How indebted people become just in the pursuit of this. And it typically tends to be like I said, the lower your assets, then in a weird way you have more options because there's more free opportunity. And the more your assets are in the middle, the more you're kind of stuck because there's this argument that you should contribute more, and then you have to borrow it if you want to go. And there's less free options for you. And then, of course, if you're wealthy, then you don't care because, you already have the money. $40,000, you could buy an outfit for that. You could buy clothes for that. Or go out to a fancy restaurant and buy fancy alcohol and spend $40,000. So to you, it's nothing to pay tuition for that. So the people at the very top, economically, no problem. People at the very bottom, economically, with talent, especially, right? Especially if they have individual talent, academically, athletically, artistically, then it's easy. It's the group in the middle, which is the mass number, it's the majority of people are in the middle, that it's very tough, and people have to make tough decisions. But the anecdote I was telling you about was the person who, they were in that situation where they had no resources, right? They didn't have any property they were going to sell off, or some, painting they inherited that they could sell, or, get rid of one of their Bentleys or whatever. They didn't have any money. They didn't own any house. They didn't own any real estate, nothing. Like, that was the classic textbook case of what higher education often describes, right? Is that that low income, high talent student who every school wants. That's sort of the holy grail, because that's the person that came from an impoverished background economically, and they had all these wonderful talents, and now they're going to come to this fantastic school and it's going to change their lives. And that's not a myth, right? Because you go to the best schools in the world, you do well there. That gives you an entree into so many professional opportunities and networking. And in fact, we did a show where I talked about, how do you pick the best school for you for your first degree. And I talked about, if you're in that traditional group and you have a shot, you want to go to the best school you can get admitted to, which brings me to my anecdote and why this show makes me sad. So this was a textbook example of somebody who needs to apply to Stanford, Harvard, whatever, NYU, the best schools they can, right? University of Texas at Austin. That's where I have my undergrad and law degrees from. You want to go to the best school you can. And the fact that your family comes from a family doesn't have anything to contribute at all. That's going to help you because you're going to be open for all these other options just because of the economic qualification issues. And if you individually have talent, you're academically talented, most of these schools have programs, and they give public press releases about how great this is. That if you're under a certain poverty, I hate that word, but socioeconomic level, then you don't pay any tuition, right? Because they want you to come there to give diversity to their campus. They want people from different economic groups, because what tends to happen on these really prestigious places is you get diversity of color, you get diversity of religious background, you get diversity of those types of things, but you don't get diversity of economic background, because it doesn't matter if you're one religion or one national origin or one ethnicity or one race or color. You're all from the same socioeconomic background, because you're not really getting actual diversity of a really substantive nature socioeconomically, which is a big issue for us as humans internationally, right? We sort of stay within our own class, and that's a whole nother can of worms, but it ties to why I'm saying that I was inaccurate in this assessment of the idea. It seems too good to be true. It probably is. When I said to the mother, your daughter won't have to worry about money. Like, they'll pay for it, and also give her money. Like, she'll, do a part-time teaching thing potentially as she moves higher up toward her degree, or they'll give her an on-campus job, or, whatever. Like, they'll pay for it. Like, she's what they want. Are you kidding me? If she doesn't apply, she has zero chance of going, right? If she applies, and if she really is that talented, and she might not even understand how talented she really is, and gets in, they'll pay for her to go. But the mother was telling her, don't even apply. I'm tearing up right now. Look at me. I'm about to get emotional. I am emotional. I'm about to get tears rolling down my face. To the core of my being, what happens is this. The mother's argument to me was, this seems too good to be true, and it probably is. That what I was saying is, you have to have her apply. You need to have her apply to all of these schools, right? Because any school she gets in, right, that's high quality, is going to make her life better, but it's also going to make everybody else in your family's life potentially better, right? Because she goes out and does well, and then she's able then to provide, with her family a better standard of living, and it's a win-win. That's sort of the narrative of this, right? You pull yourself up, and ideally, this, I hate the phrase, but I'll use it, by your own bootstraps, which it isn't, because it's part of all of us in society, right? It takes a village. We all are a village of humanity. So we all contribute to this, right? We want this. We want public institutions and private institutions, and we want to give individually to organizations that support education, and we want some of our tax money to go to this. Like, we all want this. And it broke my heart that she's sitting up there telling me she told her daughter not to apply. I couldn't believe it. It was like, it's the most awful thing one of the most awful things I've probably ever heard. But her logic behind it was based on this topic. Her point was, that seems too good to be true, that someone's going to, quote, give you free money. And she did, the mother, who had not been to university, but she's, in society, she reads and hears things, and she heard all the time about it, how much it costs to go to college, how expensive college is, right? And so it's a logical thing to think, hey, this thing is super duper expensive, right? And we don't have the money now, really, to do a lot of the things that we need to. There's no way. I don't have anything to give her. So, she just doesn't need to apply, because if she applied and got in, she'd be heartbroken, because I'd have to just tell her you can't go. And that would be worse. So by me telling her not to go, I'm helping her, because it's too good to be true. There's not going to be anybody that comes along like some sort of, tooth fairy and leaves you money for school under your pillow. It's not going to happen. Right. And that's why this show topic is so destructive. The problem is that what people think is too good is based on your own frame of reference, sort of like the age analogy I made earlier when I make references to, when something happened in the past, right? It's all relative. So somebody like that mother was thinking, I'm helping my child, right? Without understanding, because she didn't have the frame of reference in her own life experience to understand that she's hurting her child. Because she's thinking, sounds too good to be true. I'm telling her, no, this is beyond not, too good. This is reality. Like, your daughter has every shot, because she comes from a lower income background and the first in her family to go to college. These are all the things that schools look at, because these are things that are really going to bring real socioeconomic and cultural diversity. When you have a whole bunch of wealthy people from the same type of socioeconomic background and all their parents went to college, yeah, they might be different religions or races or colors, but they have a very similar life. And so you have less diversity of thought, you have less diversity of experience. And so that's why, this is, again, really important that schools are looking for this. But the mother didn't understand that. And so in her mind, she's thinking too good to be true. And that's where I'm coming from with this show, because most of the time the things I hear people tell me, they're, quote, too good to be true, they're so not accurate. But what happens is somebody doesn't have a life experience or a frame of reference, so to them it does sound like it's too good. Where I'm sitting there telling them it's not too good. I'm telling you this is like real life, but to them it doesn't seem real. And I have seen examples of this from small to large. Now, what I'm talking about now, to me, is one of the most large, awful, painful, sad, depressing things I've ever actually heard in my life. Right? Because the kid has a shot at a golden ticket, and the parent who, out of love, is thinking I'm trying to help them, is denying them a shot at like this amazing life. But I've heard little things. So as I said, I'm based in Las Vegas, entertainment capital, and we have a incredible amount of casinos and restaurants. And I've heard people say, this is a small example of this. So in the casinos in Las Vegas, they're massive structures. If you have not been, at some point, it's like anything else in life that people talk about, you probably should go at least once. I myself don't gamble. It's just not anything. A, I don't know how to gamble with the cards and all the games, and then B, the other stuff with the machines, it just doesn't seem interesting to me. But I love going to the casinos because they have the finest restaurants in the world. They also have shopping. Even though, I'm not a big shopper, but when I do, I like to get something, quality. They have the restaurants. They have entertainment, every type of music you can imagine. I mean, it's really exciting in that way. Okay, so in the casinos in Las Vegas, you just walk inside. There's no, you don't pay. There's no admission or whatever. There's no admission. Literally, you just walk in. So it's free. And then if you are going to take part in the gaming, which they have all different types of games, like I said, the things I'm too stupid, and I don't use that word necessarily to hurt myself, but I mean, I really don't, I've never learned how to play cards, so I don't know, you have to know what you're doing with the gaming games, what they call table games. And then they have machines and other types of things where there's less rules, but, you still have to sort of, understand it, like a slot machine or some, video poker or something. So I either don't understand it, I'm not, I don't know enough, or it's just not something that I, have ever really had an interest in. But I love going to the casino. So you walk in for free, and I've heard people say, oh, and then if you sit down and you do game, right, as a verb, you indulge in gaming, then they have people who walk around who work there and will offer you beverages. So something to drink. Do you want a water? And if you're legally old enough to drink, they'll offer you, would you like an alcoholic beverage? Would you like a water? Would you like a soda? Whatever. And they bring it to you, free of charge. Now, ideally, you're supposed to tip them, right? Tip them. Thank you for you came, took my order. You went and got the drink and brought them back what I requested. That was very wonderful service. I thank you, and you tip them with money, right? Okay. All right. So I've had people say, and I've heard people say, who've never been to Vegas, and they'll say, well, I can't afford to go there. And, I've heard people say that you go and you can walk in for free, and they'll even give you, a soda or a water or even a beer, if you're an adult. And that's just too good to be true. Now, I'm not saying people need to go to Vegas and spend money on anything specifically. And I'm certainly not saying that gaming is either a good thing or the best thing, or especially if you don't, enjoy it and or know what you're doing. And of course, like anything, you don't want to spend money that's your real money for your life, but you just want to spend your fun money, which is your fun money is the stuff we just spend on stuff that we don't need, but we just think I'd really like to go to that nice restaurant. So it's our fun money. We don't spend our rent money on that, right? It's the same thing with any of this kind of stuff. But I certainly do encourage you to come, to Vegas, because there's so much, again, just amazing entertainment and all types of events, and it's really exciting. So people saying that they don't believe it, they believe it sounds like it's too good to be true. Who cares if they come to Vegas? Although many people care, including me, right? Come, but it's a small example of they don't have a frame of reference. And it's the same sort of line of thought that gets people in deep trouble. There is so much opportunity. So I was talking about something really important, substantive, your education earlier. And even this, the ability to go and have a fun, nice time on some exciting vacation, that's an opportunity. It's a privilege, certainly. But to deny yourself that because you don't believe, because you think it sounds too good to be true, you're why? I mean, it comes from a frame of reference where somebody has experienced being let down or not being able to achieve their dreams in some manner. And so what they tend to do is what we all do. The only way I know all the stuff I know, well, of course I know more about college admissions than probably a lot of people. One, because I went to college and I didn't just go to undergrad, and then I went to, law school, and I have an MBA, and I have another master's, and and then I teach, and I've been doing that I mean, I know a lot more than just sort of average whoever is not involved in higher ed, about, visiting and having a fun vacation in a place and knowing whether or not you have to pay an admission or have to pay if you're enjoying some of the entertainment and gaming they have. I know this because part of it because I've been here work a lot for work. Las Vegas is a convention capital of the world, really, and so it's one of the reasons I worked out here so much, because I do all my speaking at so many events and conventions. And then I bought a place, and this is one of my bases, so I live here, either full time or part time, depending on what's happening in my life. So I know this. Um, I was talking to someone, and they were talking about taking a flight. I don't, like they were just going to visit family or friends or something. And they're somebody who doesn't fly much, or maybe if I remember correctly, maybe they hadn't flown at all. I don't remember. And so I was saying something to them about, yeah, like when you get on the plane, some airlines you don't get a seat ticket. You just sort of get a ticket to get in line, and then depending on if you're in the front of the line or in the middle or the back of the line, you get on the plane. You just sit down wherever you want. Other airlines, you get a ticket, and on the ticket it gives you an exact seat, and it'll tell you like you're in seat 12F or whatever. And so I was talking to the person, and they were talking about this flight, and I was saying something about how I love my window seats. I think I even posted on Twitter or the blog or something about that, right? Because I'm trying to learn, right? I'm trying to learn social media, or at least some of it, and share it. I think I shared a picture from a flight I was on relatively recently, like here I am in my window seat looking out the window. Here's a picture of me, because that's my happy place on the plane is my window seat. A window seat and an emergency row is even better because then I get my leg room and my window. That makes me really happy. So anyway, the person was saying something like, well, you just can't pick a seat. And I said, well, yeah, you can always pick a seat, because you either can be on the airlines where there's not assigned seating. Everybody picks a seat. Just get early in line. Or when you buy a seat on another airline where you get assigned a seat, there's online on the internet, you can actually pick, which one you're going to do. Like you can literally go on the internet and pick and say, hey, I'm going to do this. And so there was this discussion, and the person was like, I can't pick it. And I was like, yeah, you can. Of course you can. And they were like, no, you can't. You just have to take whatever they give you. And I said, well, no. I mean, obviously, if you're the last person in line, and it's not assigned seating, or you're on the internet and you're the last person to buy a ticket, and it's the last ticket before they sell out, well, then yeah, you're gonna be limited. But without that rare exception, you do have some choice, right? Like buy early and then get early in line if it's unassigned, and then you're early in line so you can have more choices, or buy your ticket earlier and pick, and then you'll have more choices online to pick which seat. Like you literally just click and show, I want to sit this one or whatever. And they didn't believe me, right? It sounds too good to be true. And okay, the problem is with this concept that if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is, that it causes harm to people who actually would benefit, because they don't have the expanse of imagination or the frame of reference to understand what is, quote, too good to be true and what isn't. And if somebody's life experience means they've never done that thing, or they don't know anything about it other than what they've heard or seen, out in just the public at large, they just go with what they know. And if what they know is that doesn't sound right, then that's what they're going to give advice to, their children or family and friends or themselves, right? Like, I can't do that. And the thing is, you could do that. And part of the thing that's so hard about living in an expansive life is because it requires you to not have such orthodox thinking. You have to be willing to question even your own assumptions. Now, of course, that makes perfect sense for us, because that's the title purpose of this series, right? Myth Warriors. It's all about questioning assumptions. Think things that we think. Is that real? Is that imaginary? Is that factual? And this is not an easy thing to do because it gets you in that whole position, right? Of starting to wonder, well, where does it end, right? And that's a good thing. That's what critical thinking is. Critical thinking, again, is this awesome concept, which certainly you hear me mention all the time because it's the foundation of higher education and knowledge and professional practice and decision making and management and personal empowerment and like all the good stuff. Critical thinking is you controlling your thoughts. The option of the opposite of critical thinking is obedience, where you're not controlling them at all. You're just following other people's thoughts and directions. And the problem in real life is if you don't know anybody else that's done anything differently than what you've done, which again, we did when I did a show in the Courtney I'm Curious series, and I talked about travel because people do ask me like, you travel all over, you're just traveling all around. Aren't you scared? And I'm like, no, why would I be scared? To me, it's a weird question, right? But that's just because I have a background and I'm used to being out and about in the world, right? I was born in Germany, and then I moved all over. My growing up, I never lived in any one place until I was an adult and out of college. Before I lived anywhere for more than in one place for more than 2 years, and I'm in one place, like without moving. So, and I was an adult. The whole rest of my life, I'm living here, I'm there, I'm here, I'm there, I'm moving, I'm all over the place. I'm traveling constantly. So I come from a background of that. To me, that's normal. But for a lot of people, it's the opposite. They're not used to that. So they get really unnerved when things are different. And again, it's minor stuff, right? Like, people come from one, I've noticed this a lot traveling around. When people are from a place and they don't travel much, everything to them is based on that little slice of the world. So if the grocery store has a certain name there, they'll just keep referring to that name of the brand of the grocery store, right? And then when they'll go somewhere else, they'll say, well, this isn't like the other grocery store. And they'll name that brand wherever they're from. And then most of us would think, well, yeah, because it's a different grocery store. So it's not going to be exactly the same, but it's the same concept. There's food here, and other stuff. So who cares? It's exactly the same. But it makes people uncomfortable because then they get to that thing where they feel like, well, I don't really know. The problem with this saying is if it seems too good to be true, the problem is how do you know if it's too good to be true? The only way you would know that is based on some frame of reference. So when people we all do the same thing. We just have different frames of references based on our experience and our knowledge. So a lot of things I myself haven't personally done, but I've read about it or I've studied it or whatever. So it gives me some advantage. If somebody's in a situation where they haven't read about it, they haven't studied it, they never took a class, never talked to anybody who's done it or been there, and they themselves have never done it, then their frame of reference will be different. So they'll be much more likely to label something too good to be true inaccurately because it's not too good to be true. That's just how they do it there. And that's to their own detriment. Because people don't apply for that university, they don't apply for that job. We've done so many shows talking about people being told they're overqualified for jobs, about you need to apply for a job that you don't think you're qualified for. And the reason I said that is because you don't even know. So much of life comes down to that thing where if you ever see somebody, and you definitely see it in reality TV shows, right? The average person, is talking about a reality TV show, and they'll say, oh, those people in that reality TV show that, about singing, a singing competition, they don't even sing well. I sing better than them, right? And the truth is that many people really do sing better than them. The reason why that person's on TV and won the reality show and has an album and is famous, and we can assume hopefully wealthy if they had good investments and made good business choices, and you're not, is because they showed up. And we did a show on that, right? How important it is just be there. And part of what prevents people from being there is because they think it seems too good to be true. And so they don't show up at all. And then other people, less talented, less, able, do show up. And you can only work with what you have. I mean, you can't go make somebody come who hasn't even applied or even shown up for the audition or whatever. And so then they get that shot. And it changes their life for the better, hopefully. And then people who definitely would have enjoyed the better opportunity didn't even like try because they believe this silly thing. If it seems too good to be true, it probably is. That's no, it isn't. I'm going to give the answer to this. First, I said that this is absolutely a myth. It's a lie. And the reason I'm saying that is because you and I don't know what's too good to be true, because things that are beyond our frame of reference are beyond our frame of reference, so we don't know. What does that mean we have to do? We have to research. So what the mother should have done in my anecdote earlier is, instead of telling her kid, her daughter, hey, don't apply to college, which, oh, devastates me, she should have said, hey, I don't know anything about this. So I'm going to go conduct research with credible sources. She does not have to say those exact words, but basically she needs to read. And the beauty of the internet library is that you can go find most anything without needing to literally go to the physical library and hope the book is in the location, right? That it's not been checked out. So she could read. She could go to credible sources and read all kinds of things and just go find out, is this true that schools pay for people who come from families without economic resources and are, that have been admitted? And then she needs to be able to figure out what's a credible source and what's a lie. She doesn't want to go to a blog of somebody really angry, that thinks all universities should be banned in all of Earth because universities are yucky. She doesn't want to read their blog because who knows what they're saying. She needs to find credible sources. She needs good data to understand, is this true potentially or is this a lie? So that's when I talk about critical thinking, we talk about credible sources, we talk about this entire series. So what would be the credible sources? You need to go look to the universities themselves. Like I said, they actually put out press releases to promote, right? Oh, we just had so many students that got full rides. A lot of them will even promote, they'll have some sort of saying, and they'll put it out and say, any student from a family that makes less than X number of dollars a year, they don't pay a penny to come here. And they're doing that to show to the world, see, we're leaders in higher ed. We're the best of the best, right? The most elite of the elite, which is incredibly competitive in anything, right? When you get to the top, then it just gets really, really hard because everybody at the top is really, really good. So then they just compete amongst themselves to be even, better. And so she could go to the sources themselves. She could go to the government, which has so much data that her taxes through sales tax or any other taxes that she's ever been part of, and just being in society and contributing as this member, she pays for that, directly and indirectly. So go look and see. There's a department or in some government agency for something, everything, right? Agriculture to education to zoology, you name it. So go to that source and go read what their reports say. Is it accurate that there are programs that pay for students? She could also talk to people who do this for a job. Or if her child's in high school, then there's some kind of counselor or some office somewhere with some administrator that she could even ask, and say, I myself not really sure. I don't know. I myself didn't apply to these schools. I don't know what it's like. But my daughter's interested in this. I need to talk to someone, and understand what options really do exist for my daughter. And she needs to go to multiple credible sources because maybe, the government report was incomplete. And that wasn't the most helpful. Maybe the people that work at her daughter's school aren't really good at their job, so they don't know what they're talking about. I remember when I was in high school, it happened. I went to several high schools because I moved all the time, but I remember having some experiences with people that, as a high school kid myself, they didn't really know what they were talking about. But that's neither here nor there. You just go to multiple credible sources and you start building up information. And you start by saying the most intelligent thing you can say, which is, I don't know. And we have a show on that we did about that exact topic. But the mother was thinking she was coming from the right place, saying, here's what I do know. And I do know that to me, this sounds too good to be true. She was accurate in what she knew. The problem was she hadn't applied to those schools. She doesn't know anyone who actually graduated from those schools or went to those schools or works in that field, so her information was inaccurate. Right? If we haven't done anything and we don't have a frame of reference or personal knowledge and we haven't studied it or gone out to find other credible sources, we're just guessing. And we're guessing based on nothing. If I've never eaten some food, right? Some specific type of food, I've never eaten it. And then you asked me and said, that food, should I eat it? And then I could say to you, you know what, that food, I wouldn't eat it. I knew, somebody one time and they said they knew somebody who had it and it really made their stomach hurt. And, I would never eat that food. Now, here's the thing. I have no information and I have no credible sources. Some rumor I think I heard one time, maybe from somebody who said something that somebody else might have said, is not a credible source. I don't know anything myself about that food. So the answer should be, I don't know. I've never had it. Why don't we try to find out? That's what you do. You and I don't know what seems too good to be true because we have a very limited, narrow frame of reference. I have frames of references that are wider in some areas than other people, but mine are smaller than other people in other areas because I don't know. That's the majority of things in life. I don't know. I say that all the time because I don't know. But I don't say to somebody, don't do that. It sounds too good to be true because I don't know if it's too good to be true because I don't know enough about this thing. And that's when I go to my other areas of I go to find credible sources and try to get moving on collecting some actionable good data so I can begin to move toward understanding. But just telling somebody it sounds too good to be true, it tends to hurt people. Now, is there the example of the con artist, which is where this really comes from? These white collar criminals are just incredibly talented and awful. And so you look at these huge white collar frauds that come out, and there's always another one that comes out that's even bigger than the last fraud you heard. But a lot of those white collar crimes happen because wealthy people are greedy, right? So they are lured by the same trick over and over again. Oh, this is a secret investing fund. There are no, documents because it's so secret and you've been invited. And so people are driven by greed, and they're also driven by this whole thing about low self-esteem and, brand. So if somebody else has something fancy, then they want it too, even though they don't even know what it is. And then that turns out it's a con artist who stole their money, he never invested it, and now these horrible things happen. That's one example. The other examples are somebody who wants resources and they're not financially well off. And the con artist says, the classic Ponzi scheme stuff, right? Which, if you haven't read about who Ponzi was, Charles Ponzi, read. Go on the internet, find a credible source. Easy things for credible sources are universities, colleges, journals, and so it's going to end in edu. It's going to end in gov. Doesn't mean necessarily because fraudsters make fraudulent websites, and those are whole other programs we do teaching that. But it's important to understand the process, right? And you also know when you're on the hunt for data, then it's not easy. It's not like you put something in a search engine and then you look on the first page at the first couple of things and you think I'm done. No, this is a research thing. So it may take you a couple of pages. It may take you days. It could take you weeks or months to research this and find out good credible data. It's not instant, right? Just because something's on the first page of a search engine, you don't know if that's a total lie or a fraud or anything else. But the Ponzi schemes, like I said, go read about Charles Ponzi. I think it's important, and read about some of these other similar scandals. The tulip scandal from a couple centuries ago, and these things have been going on for as long as they're humans. Then this happens. What happens is somebody, again, it's the same types of underlying problems. Greed when you're wealthy is one type of greed, I think, because you already have resources. So I find it to be difficult ethically to understand. Somebody who doesn't have resources or who is really struggling financially, yeah, some of it's want, but a lot of it's need. And they're preyed on again by often white collar criminals. That's financial fraud and all of this, and because they want it so badly. They want to be able to have those resources, and then they fall for these schemes, right? Get rich quick. Sign up for this, give me a little bit of money and you'll get this money back and all this kind of stuff because they need, in many instances, really do need financial resources, and people are desperate, and desperate people make really desperate decisions. And so con artists play on that, right? It's so easy. And that's where we get this sort of my knee-jerk reaction to our show topic, which is, oh, of course, it sounds too good to be true. It probably is. But I've made the argument here for this whole show that that's not accurate. What I'm saying though is, yes, you need to proceed with caution. Caution is what I've been telling you. What we've been sharing. So when something comes up and I don't know, what do I say? I say, I don't know. I really don't know. So I'd say to my daughter, you know what? I don't know. I've never gone to that school or applied to that school. I don't know anything about that. I don't know. We start with that, right? And then we go through our process of we're going to need to collect a good credible sources so we can get some good credible data and find out what really is going on. That may take a little bit of time, okay? And then as we work through that, part of what this whole series is part of that, right? Then at the end of that, we can go back and look at the multiple credible sources and begin to assemble an understanding of what may be accurate, right? Now, is that going to guarantee protect us from something, some excellent criminal, tricking us? No, of course not. Is it going to help us? Oh, yes, it is. It's going to help us immensely. Because when we start with the I don't know, which is honest, it allows us to move toward knowledge. When we start with sounds too good to be true, we don't know if it's too good. We don't know if it's true. We don't know what we don't know. And this blocks people from success, from opportunity, from growth, from adventure, from joy, from all kind of wonderful things. I don't know. So I want to toss this in the trash. I want to toss this thing. It seems too good to be true. It probably is in the trash because we don't have enough knowledge to use it effectively. Now, my alternative is that what we do is we say, I don't know. We remember that desperate people make desperate decisions, which are usually destructive. So if I'm desperate for money and somebody comes along with some scheme or some story about I just give them a little this or I sign this paperwork or whatever, and it sounds to me that it might be something that could be great or it could be awful, what do we say? We say, I don't know. And then you do what? You take your time to go find multiple credible sources independently, right? To begin to be able to figure out on your own with this expert credible source information what may be accurate. While you're doing that, you've saved yourself from the con artist stealing from you or engaging with you in identity fraud or whatever because you refuse to do anything. Remember, you start with, I don't know. And then you take the time to go work on getting the research to figure out the answer. So while you're doing that, the con artist, they've already moved on to another victim because that stuff is based on speed, right? I need you to sign this fraudulent document now. I need you to wire this now, right? Because they're stealing, they're doing crime. They don't have patience. All the good stuff, right? Should my daughter apply to that college? Should I apply for this job? I'm going to take the time. So we're not going to wait until the deadline to apply for the college is tomorrow. Now it's so late. We're not going to do this. We do this ahead of time. So my daughter has a year before she applies to college. Now I'm going to go now, or earlier. Because I don't know. When I start with I don't know, I open up my path to success, to knowledge, to information, to growth, all kind of adventures, wonderful things. And I take the time to assemble credible information. There's no rush. Now, you wait till the last minute on stuff and the deadline's tomorrow to submit the application. Well, now you are up against it. But that doesn't happen to us or people in our community because we're talking about this right now. And these con artists, which is what most people are worried about when they do the if it seems too good to be true thing, it probably is, they live on and thrive on and need speed because they're deceiving, right? They're stealing. They're one step ahead of the law for their last identity fraud, and the warrant's out for them right now, and you finding out that they're not who they said they were, and all this kind of good stuff. So that's where this system, we plan ahead. We talk about this all the time, strategy, right? And we start with I don't know. We enlist all of our skills that we develop in so many of these different programs and getting our credible source information and data. We work through thinking through analysis, testing these sources to come up with some semblance of a framework to begin to move down toward an understanding of what the question and the issue is. Right? So it may be the person at this anecdote I gave in the beginning, ideally what she should have done is said to her daughter, this is fantastic. I'm so proud of you. You're doing so well in school. This is awesome. And you have the desire to go to the university. That's great. And you named some schools I've heard of. I don't know anything about them myself. I haven't been there. But this is a great dream. So I don't know. So let me start working on this and let's see what we can do. And then call the people at the school. Hey, my daughter's in school there. I want to talk to a counselor or vice principal or somebody, whoever works there, to help me because I don't know. My daughter's talking about applying to these colleges. I don't know. I need to talk to somebody. Then maybe the mother might have said to her, cousin, hey, my daughter's talking about this school. Do you know anybody? Or did you mention somebody that you used to work with or somebody at your church? They knew somebody that went to some of these schools. Could you call them or have them, email me. Yeah, I'll do that. Okay, so we're finding people who went to the school. We're finding people who work and teach in these things, guidance counselors and people at the child school, and we're getting multiple sources. We're going to go online ourselves, right? And do some research, right? Research is not I put some, one thing in the search engine on one search engine. And I looked on the first page and I saw two things. No, research is I'm going to go and I'm going to say, hey, maybe I'm going to take 30 minutes to do this. 30 minutes now, and then I'll put it away and I'll come back, in a week or two and I'll do another 30 minutes on it. And I'm going to keep reading and looking. And I'm looking for the source. Who wrote this? The key with the credible source thing is, where did this come from? So I'm giving you easy stuff that's verifiable, hopefully, right? Some government agency that that we taxpayers, are part of that, and there's oversight, and we can see who wrote it and when they wrote it and how they come up with those numbers and what they claim the financial situation is for going to college. I go to the college itself, right? I may even call or email or, whatever, the college and say, hi, I have a daughter. She's in high school. She's mentioned your school. I don't know. I don't know anything about this. And I want to talk to someone to understand what type of financial options there would be for someone who applied to the school, like my daughter. And then you tell people. You tell them exactly your understanding. You would say something like, I don't know the details. My daughter is a great student, but we don't have any money. And I'm worried that if she applied there and was accepted, that I can't help her go. I don't have any money to help her. I don't want her feelings to be hurt. And then they would tell you, oh my goodness, ma'am, at our college, if you don't have any money, don't even look at us. Now they're not going to say that, but whatever, it's possible, not probable. Or they probably would say the truth. They'd say, look, let me get somebody to talk to you. Your prospective applicant's mother, we want to talk to you about how we do the financial situation. And then they may say to her and explain to her things. Hey, if your daughter is admitted, these are the things that we do, right? So it's nothing that your daughter has to borrow. It's nothing your daughter has to worry about for money. And then they can send her documents to look at, send her an email. And you just keep saying to people over and over again the most powerful words ever. I don't know. And then you ask your questions. And you go to the sources as much as you can, the primary source. So not what your cousin's friend told you, somebody down the street said, but go ask the people there at the place. At her high school, at the college. Jeez. And I think it's two things. Again, I think one, it's this, we're not aware or honest with ourselves about how little we know. I know almost nothing about the entirety of the universe of experience. The little things I know, little areas of law, little areas of business, and little areas about some other experiences in our personal lives and goal strategy and stuff. But and it's more than maybe a person who's not worked in those areas, but it's nothing compared to everything about, hydrology and, engineering. And I mean, there's so much. So most of what I say in life is what you say in life. I don't know. Because I know that's a powerful, intelligent thing to do, and that's what opens me up to more success in life. And I'm just going to mention it. One of the reasons why people want to go to this thing, if it seems too good to be true, it probably is because of their own thing of, well, people, I don't want to be embarrassed. No. What's embarrassing is to cheat yourself and cheat your loved ones and cheat people out of opportunity that could make their lives even more amazing. You deserve, absolutely, all of the things that you're working on to surpass these goals you have for yourself. Your children deserve this. Your neighbors deserve this. You have to start with, I don't know. And I want you to mark through this topic. If it seems too good to be true, it probably is. Put an X through it or a red line. It's a lie. Because I don't know what's too good to be true because I don't know enough about that thing. That's why each of these things take time. While we're getting our information and our data going to the primary source, you know what happens? The con artist who is trying to take advantage of us and the fraudster, they don't wait for you. They move on to another victim. So this protects us in a lot of ways. It's not guaranteed, but it's going to do a lot to protect us, right? I don't know. Let me look into it. Somebody comes to you about this investment, right? I don't know. Let me look into that. And then you use your time and your credible sources and again, primary sources, and there's no rush. Remember, because we plan ahead. We don't wait till the last minute, right? And this gives us a whole bunch of things. Control, access to knowledge and information, making choices that are highest probability of success. And then it also prevents us from being exploited by people who are trying to do bad things to us. Con artists and all of these, identity fraud and all this kind of, bad criminal. We're not going to be in that with them because we said we didn't know. And while we were working on doing the research, they went ahead and did it. And now they're already probably in jail, right? See, my system worked. I didn't know. I really hope that this was a helpful show. It's one of those things, like I said, when I looked at it, it's much tougher to get into this than you may initially think. And even though I'm a pragmatist, or I perceive myself to be a pragmatist, this is not good information. If it seems to get to be true, it probably is not. It is a not good information. It is not accurate. It is a myth. It is a lie. Throw it in the trash. What are we going to do? Replace it with our system. What's our system? Our system is I acknowledge and understand how little I know, just of the sheer volume of what's possible of knowledge. The number one thing I say most of the time is I don't know. And when I say I don't know, that opens me up to the path to knowledge and to success. I go through my due diligence. That's the process of taking the time to get my credible sources, going to the primary source and asking people, hi, I don't know. And then ask them the questions and then collect from multiple sources. Never only have one source, right? And you have multiple sources and take your time and then work on it. And then you will work toward an understanding. You're not going to learn everything about that area, but you'll learn enough to know, hey, this school actually does have this program. So daughter, go ahead and apply. But understand that you have to get admitted. So that's the hard part, right? The hard part is being admitted. So let's work on your school. Is there anything I can do to help you with your homework or your classes? It looks like you also need to, I talked to people at the school, they said you also need to do some extracurricular. So, let's do some volunteer service, down at the mission this weekend, and let's try to get you some other things that you can do to be the best applicants. We can try to get you in. And if you don't get into that number one choice, we have to make other choices. When I did my research, I found out what most people do is they have a list of schools they apply to. And some of them are just, the ones they really would hope and love to, like their number one choice, number two. And then they go down to some other schools that, it's more likely they're going to get in that school, right? And you plan. And then this way you're never facing your child saying your child didn't get in anywhere. They're going to get in somewhere because there's enough schools around the world that you will get in a school. That's a guarantee if you want to. Now, the key, though, of course, is to plan ahead and get into the, quote, best, with the best programs that meet your needs and interests and academic talents. Also, geographic, is it online? Are you doing it? All this kind of good stuff, right? Who are you studying with? We talked about this in those other programs about selecting a school. But then when you come out of this process, when you've done your time to get your credible sources through due diligence, you'll have so many options. So you're not going to face the heartbreak of what that mother was trying to prevent was her daughter having her dreams crushed, right? That was her fear. And she thought it would be crushed because her daughter would get in, and then she'd have to say, you can't go because I don't have any money. By fixing that, by realizing that's not true, it was a lie, by taking the time to get together the data, she'll learn that if her daughter does get in those good schools, she will be able to go there without the money problem. But she also needs to understand that it's hard to get in those schools and that she might not get in. And if she doesn't, we have to apply to these other schools too. So she has a school to go to, right? And the other schools that she goes to, we need to have talked to and done research ahead of time to make sure we understand the financial options. Right? So maybe at some other schools, she may have to have some amount of money that's not going to be covered by grants or government programs, but she may have to get a part-time job at the school. They have those work-study programs, what they're called, in the States. Or she may apply to a school internationally, or maybe a school where they don't charge tuition, but she may also have to then think about, she can need money to eat on, right? She's going to need to get some ability to make friends. Because the hard part of school for traditional young person is not necessarily the academic part. I mean, that's part of it. But the really hard part is you're growing into your early adulthood, peer pressure, acceptance, finding your voice as a person, all this other really important stuff. So by doing this process of, I don't know, immediately starting our process of our due diligence, our research with credible sources and taking our time, we're going to come up with a whole bunch of solutions. And the goal of not having her daughter's dreams crushed, it's not no guarantee, but she's going to be 99% there. She's going to have applied to a variety of schools, and she'll have a variety of options ahead of time, addressing everything from the funding, right, to pay for school to the basics of, will she be happy there? Does she like to be around a lot of people, big school? Does she want to be at a small school with less people? Was she going to live, at home and go commute to school? Is she going to move to the place and live on the campus and all this kind of stuff? That's why you plan ahead. And you do this with all the other things. Somebody comes to you with an investment or something they heard about, you're going to get rich. You say to them, I don't know. And you start your credible source. And they may say to you, you're stupid. We only have, an hour. If you don't do it now, you're not going to get to do it. You're going to miss the boat. Then you're going to have to say, I have to miss this one boat then. Maybe I was too late on this one boat. But by doing your research, if it turned out that really was a good thing, now you're ready for the next opportunity, right? So we're doing everything we can, right, to protect ourselves and at the same time to get out there and to find out what really will help us make good choices. for ourselves and other people. And I really do, again, like I said, throw this in the trash mentally. If it seems to be true, it probably is. Throw it away. We don't know. We don't know. And again, it's often used to hurt us. We don't apply, we don't try, we don't show up because we think it sounds too good to be true. Never heard of anything like that. Just because you've never heard of it doesn't mean it's not real. The flip side of that, though, is that's what con artists prey on. Criminals and liars, they come and they'll say, well, how do you know? I've even heard, I had one every once in a while, because we have our industry, speaking, corporate training, motivational speaking, which is a fantastic industry with leading experts from around the world, but there are fraud people who sometimes want to come around the edges of this industry. And they're the ones, get rich quick and all these lies and stuff they do. And so one of them, a couple of years ago, was doing their thing, and I was doing a work thing and happened to be in the same space. And the person started to come towards me, right, potentially as one of their victims, and was saying something like, well, you don't know what it's like. You don't have the imagination to be rich. The reason why you haven't succeeded is you can't even imagine what it would be like. And because you can't dream it, you can't do it. And because you can't dream it, you'll never have anything. Now, of course, I've been running businesses, and financially, I've been very, comfortable for a really long time. It was ridiculous. But the person didn't know me, right, at all. They had no clue who I was. And so they were putting that's what they'll do. They put time pressure, and they try to use that thing. Well, you don't know. That's why your life is a disaster, because you can't dream what it's like. And the thing is, actually, no, that's a tactic to separate people from their money and to be, criminals and all this kind of, negative, nefarious things. So, my system works. So I didn't say, at the time, I can't remember. I just think in my mind, I was so, not pleased that I was listening to this, or even near that person with that kind of behavior. But if I had needed to, right, if I had been under pressure, or if it was a different type of situation, I would have said to the person, hey, I don't know. I'll go start researching on that. See? So I haven't invested in anything in case it is a criminal type of Ponzi scheme thing, which if I remember correctly, actually that turned out where that person was involved in that. And there you go. And just in case it happened to be that was something that was potentially great and I missed it because it was last minute and I didn't have enough time to finish my due diligence, I don't beat myself up, because now I have knowledge. And the knowledge you earn through your research is going to allow you, like I said, if the mother had done that system, she would have gotten her daughter every opportunity to get the best outcome by learning about all the different types of schools and programs and options and all this kind of good stuff. And that's what will happen when you use the system starting with, I don't know, with immediate starting our due diligence. It may take a while, but hey, that's all right. Because the knowledge we'll gain by going through that process will open up so many other things we didn't know about, right? That even if we did potentially miss out on something because it was sort of last minute and that opportunity is no longer there, but now we have so much other new knowledge. Now we know about this opportunity. We know about other opportunities like it that are going to be coming up. And now we're going to be ready to prepare to get out there and really do some amazing, wonderful things in our life. And this is the path. This is the path towards surpassing our goals. And again, we just have to make sure, like I said, throw it in the trash, blow it up in your mind. Never ever think about this silliness again. It seems too good to be true, because you don't know and I don't know. Most of the stuff that we hear, I don't know anything about it. So I can't tell you if it's too good, because I don't know what good is, right? I just don't know enough. So I don't know, due diligence, and then that opens up the whole wealth of opportunities for fantastic outcomes. It really does. And I'm surprised. Constantly, I learn things I never had heard about and didn't know even existed. And it always is interesting. And I think that's really cool. Yeah. See? Didn't know. And then more opportunities, here they come. That's how it is. That's really how it is. So thank you for joining me, being part of the program. As always, come to CourtneyAnderson.com as often as possible. Let me know what show ideas you have on your mind. I am at Zealous Business on Twitter. And if you find the show somewhere on iTunes or anywhere else, please leave these ratings or reviews, because they're important for the visibility of our show. And thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for being here.